What's up, guys? Meow, and I'm back in another video today. And we got another trade tree to do. And I didn't think to do this one until it kind of got brought up to me in a way. So back on February 5th, there was this tweet from George Hoffman regarding the Eagles, or what he was hearing in terms of the Eagles trading Wentz, and that the Bears were listening to offers, or were listening to their demands, whatever. Brett Coleman said, quote retweeted it the next day saying the Eagles have to be leaking that because I guess the Eagles wanted like 2 first round picks at the time for him to drive up the price. Said he didn't think Ryan Pace would pull that sort of a deal off. And I just replied saying, under normal circumstances, no. When you have the McCaskies, it's possible. And then brought up the Rick Mirer thing because he got traded for his first round pick. And then Robert Ewing, R.E. Wing 8403, said in reply to me, which became Sean Spriggs, referring to that trade. And so now I'm making a trade tree out of it. Also, want to shout out my buddy David. He dropped episode 2 of his podcast, the In the Feds podcast. I will link that in the description below. Go check it out. Go subscribe to him. I'm almost at 350 subscribers myself, so please drop a like, subscribe for more content like this. It would really help me out with the YouTube algorithm and all of that. And with all of that out of the way, here is the Rick Mirer trade tree. Now, it's really 2 trade trees in one. You have this right here, the Rick Mirer trade tree, and then you have this over here. We will explain this later on because that other side of it actually has to do with a pick that comes up later on. And it's a whole lot of just a bunch of trading in the 97 draft. And the Seahawks just getting really crafty. So we'll explain all of that later on in the video. But Rick Mirer, he was a former number 2 overall pick in the 93 draft by the Seattle Seahawks, taken right after Drew Bledsoe, who went number 1 overall to the New England Patriots. Now, for what it's worth, Seattle, when you look at that draft, Seattle could have had Willie Roaf, Jerome Bettis, Michael Strahan, Will Shields, and or John Lynch. Although, like, Strahan, I think, was a second rounder. Shields and Lynch were later in the draft. I think Roaf and Bettis were the only ones that were first rounders out of that group of guys that all became Hall of Famers, Lynch being the most recent. Hell, they could have taken Garrison Hurst, who went number 3 overall, right behind Mirer, and then offensive tackle Lincoln Kennedy went 9th overall. And there were a few other solid selections like running back Robert Smith, for example, in the first round. So, the Seahawks fucked that one up. But again, they did a little better later on in this tree. We'll get to that. So, Chicago looked at Mirer, who played with Seattle from 1993 to 1996. Started 51 games out of the 55 that he played. 20-31 win-loss record, 814 completions on 1,523 passing attempts for just over 9,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 56 interceptions. They looked at that and said, hey, why don't we trade a first-round pick for that guy? That's their QB of the future. Yeah, no, Chicago, oh my God, what the hell, guys? Really? So that happened. So the trade, which went down on February 18th, 1997. Oh my God. It's funny because I'm filming this on February 18th, 2021. So that trade is 14 years old now. Coincidence? I think not. But anyway, that trade happened where the Bears got traded their first round pick in the 97 draft to the Seattle Seahawks for Rick Mirer in a 1997 4th round pick. Mirer, go figure, he sucked. He only started 3 games out of 7 that he played in the 97 season with the Bears, his only season in Chicago. 0-3. 53 completions on 103 attempts for 420 yards. 420, had to get that in there. 0 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He did not play in 1998, played 1 year with the Jets in 1999, then played a game for the 49ers in 2000, and then came back for the Raiders in 2003, and then his career was done. The 4th round pick turned into Darnell Autry, who only played 1 year in Chicago in 1997, 13 games, 3 starts. He had a touchdown, but that's it. And then he only played another year in the league with Philadelphia in 2000. So Seattle, what would they do with this pick? Well, when it comes to the 1997 draft, I keep saying it, and I'll get to it. But in the end, you'll see at the end of this trade tree that they made off like bandits. And I think a few teams did in a way. But we'll get to that. So Seattle, they took the 11th overall pick, or the pick that became the 11th overall pick, from the Bears and traded it along with their second, third, and fourth, 41st, 70th, and 100th overall, respectively, to Atlanta for the third overall pick and the Falcons' third rounder at 63rd overall. So what did the Falcons get with all these picks? Well, the 11th overall pick became cornerback Michael Booker Jr., who only played for the Falcons from 1997 to 1999, started 10 out of 42 games played. He had 6 interceptions, 6 passes defended or deflected or whatever, 1 fumble recovery, and 79 combined tackles. And then he played 2 years in Tennessee, and then he was done. The second round pick became running back Byron Hanspard, who only played 2 years for them, 1997, 1999. Started 4 games out of 28 that he played. He had a touchdown in both the rushing and receiving game, but that was about it. The third round pick, though, O.J. Santiago. He was a tight end. He played for them from 1997 to 1999. 41 games, 41 starts, 59 receptions, 104 on 104 targets, 819 yards, 7 touchdowns, and in 3 playoff games, which he all started, 4 receptions on 8 targets, and 67 yards. Another 2 would have been nice. But the thing that he's going to be known for, maybe lost in the shuffle a little bit, is that he was the one that popularized the Dirty Bird, or the touchdown dance that became known as the Dirty Bird during the 1998 season, where they went on to the Super Bowl and lost to the Denver Broncos. Shout out to Brandon Perna, because Broncos. And then after that, Santiago pinged around the league a bit. He got traded in August of 2000 to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2001 4th and a 2002 7th round pick, which we'll get to in a moment. He played special teams for them that year, got waived, went to Cleveland for the remainder of the season. Well, he didn't play the remainder of the season with them. He would play in 2001 with the Browns, but they picked him up, late in 2000. And then he went to Minnesota in 2002, then Oakland in 2003. He just pinged around a bit. And then he was done by 2007. The picks that they got back from Dallas, those became linebacker Matt Stewart, who played for the Falcons from 2001 to 2004. Started 44 out of 63 games that he played. And also started in 3 out of 4 playoff games that he got to play in with the team. And then he played for Cleveland for 2 years after that, and then he was done. And then the 7th rounder in 2002 became wide receiver Michael Coleman, who I couldn't find anything on, so most likely he just never panned out whatsoever. And then the 4th round pick that the Falcons got from Seattle became linebacker Henry Crockett, who played for the Falcons from 1997 to 2001, 73 games, 61 starts. He had an interception, 6.5 sacks, had a fumble recovery, 2 forced fumbles, started in 3 playoff games, wasn't doing a ton. He ended up leaving for Minnesota in 2002 and played for them for the 2002 and 2003 seasons. But before that, a little bit of shenanigans. He ended up going to Denver, I would say, as a free agent in 2001, and then got traded back to the Falcons on August 2nd, 2001. 2 months before I was born, excuse me. For a 7th round pick in the 2002 draft, but I'm not going to put this in the tree because he was with Denver when he got traded back to Atlanta, so it doesn't count as far as the trade tree is concerned. So anyway, Seattle, they took Sean Springs 3rd overall. Played for them from 1997 to 2003, 93 games, 88 starts, 20 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, returned, 55 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries, 1 touchdown, 1.5 sacks, 434 combined tackles. And in 2 playoff games, which he started, he had 14 combined tackles, and he was a Pro Bowler with them. Then he played 5 years for the now Washington football team, starting in 2004. And then he signed a 3-year deal in New England in 2009, but only played the 2009 season with them and got cut in 2010. So what about the third round pick that they got? Well, this is where things get interesting. So they took the 63rd overall pick, and then they took the 12th overall pick in the first round, which belonged to Seattle, and they traded that to Tampa Bay to for the 6th overall pick in the draft. Now, I'm going to cover what Tampa Bay got out of this, but I'm not going to cover what Seattle got out of it just yet. I'll explain. But first of all, what did Tampa Bay get out of this? Well, with the third rounder, they took guard Frank Middleton, who played for them from 1997 to 2000, 63 games, 50 starts. He had 5 playoff games, all of which he started. And then he went and played for Oakland from 2001 to 2004, and then he was done. The first rounder, though, that became running back Warrick Dunn. Good job, Tampa Bay, on that one. He played with them from 1997 to 2001 and then came back in 2008 after a few years in Atlanta. He started 71 out of 91 games that he played for the Buccaneers, 1,256 rushing attempts for 4,986 yards, 19 touchdowns, and then he had 306 receptions on 429 targets for 2,704 yards and 9 touchdowns. And in 6 playoff games, all of which were starts, 74 rushing attempts, 219 yards, and then 26 receptions on 43 targets and 168 yards there. He also went to 2 Pro Bowls with the team. He went to Atlanta in 2002 and played for them from 2002 to 2007, and he went to a 3rd Pro Bowl as a member of the Falcons in 2005. With the Falcons, 1,413 rushing attempts, 5,981 yards, 30 touchdowns, 204 receptions on 218 targets for 1,635 yards and 6 touchdowns, and in 4 playoff starts, 61 rushing attempts, 310 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 receptions, 15 targets, 102 yards. So, the 6th overall pick. That pinged around a little bit. You may remember the first trade tree I did where I talked about a draft pick that got traded a few times and then finally got used and what became of the pick. Well, this is the reason why there's this on this tree. So, April 17th, 1997, the St. Louis Rams, then St. Louis Rams, I should say. So, shout out to Darian Gilliam, aka Black Lives Matter, because he's a Rams fan. They took the 6th overall pick, which originally belonged to them, and their 3rd round pick, 67th overall, and a 4th round pick, 102nd overall, and a 7th round pick, 207th overall, and they traded those picks to the Jets to move up to the number 1 pick in the draft. And if you go back into history, the 97 draft had 2 offensive linemen who were really fucking good, or turned out to be really fucking good, and both of which would go on to be Hall of Famers. I will get to one of them shortly, and the other one we'll get to later. But then the Jets took that pick, and they, on April 18th, the very next day, and they traded it along with, they traded it to the Buccaneers for the 8th overall pick and a Bucks 1997 4th round pick, which was 104th overall. And then the Bucks traded that pick in the deal, to Seattle. But again, we will not get to that just yet. Let's start this off with the Rams-Jets trade. So, the Rams, they traded their 1st round pick along with a 3rd, a 4th, and a 7th to the Jets to move up to number 1. Who did they take with the number 1 overall pick? Offensive tackle Orlando Pace. Yep. Good job with that one, Rams. This is the cool thing with the Rams, is the late 90s, early 2000s Rams. Obviously, we know them with the greatest show on turf. They get, Kurt Warner out of nowhere. They make the trade with the Colts to get Marshall Faulk. They obviously got guys like Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. But I don't think that the Rams are nearly as successful if they don't make this move to draft Orlando Pace number 1, moving up with the Jets. And if you're a Jets fan and looking at this in hindsight, you're probably kicking yourself. You're like, why? Granted, the guy that they got, later on, he didn't turn out to be half bad. Well, he did better with the team that he went to after he was done with the Jets than he did with the Jets, but we'll get to that. So, as far as Orlando Pace goes, he played from 1997 to 2008, 158 games, started all but 4 of them. So 154 starts total. Recovered 7 fumbles, and he played 10 playoff games with the team. And then he went to Chicago for 1 year in 2009. He started all 11 games that he played in. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All Pro. He's a part of the All 2000s team, and he was a Super Bowl champion, obviously, with the Rams. And he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2016. So the Jets, they only kept one of the picks that they got back from the Rams in this deal, and that would be the 1997 fourth round pick, which turned out to be defensive end Terry Day, who only played 1 game for the team, and that was it. As far as the picks that they traded, well, starting off with the third round pick, they traded that to Denver for the 88th overall pick in the draft, along with a 1997 sixth, 1997 seventh, and a 1998 sixth. Denver would take the third rounder that they got from the Jets, who acquired the pick from the Rams, and drafted guard Dan Neal, who played with them from 1997 to 2004. He started 104 games out of 108 played, and he had 2 fumble recoveries in the process. Played in 5 playoff games, and he won 2 Super Bowls with the team. And he was obviously taken with the third round. The Jets would use the third rounder that they got back from Denver on wide receiver Dedrick Ward, who only played for them from 1997 to 2000, started 31 out of 59 games played. He didn't do a ton. He had 11 touchdowns and, just over 1,800 receiving yards, so there's that. And then he pinged around a little bit within the division. He went to Miami, played there for 2 years, then went to New England in 2003 before getting cut, and then he went to Baltimore later in the year. And then the cool thing is that after getting cut by the Ravens in November of 2003, he ended up signing back with New England. He remained on the team for the rest of the season, and he got a Super Bowl ring out of it. Good job. And then he went to Dallas in 2004. The 6th round pick in the 97 draft became quarterback Chuck Clements. He only played 1 game, didn't even start. His stat line, 2 rushing attempts, -3 yards. That was it. And then the 7th round pick became defensive tackle Jason Ferguson, who played for the Jets from 1997 to 2004. 101 games, 83 starts, 6 passes defended, 6 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 20.5 sacks, 374 combined tackles. And he started 6 playoff games. Then he went to Dallas from 2005 to 2007, and then got traded to Miami in 2008. But again, that trade will not be in the tree because he was traded from Dallas to Miami, not the Jets to Miami. And then the 1998 6th round pick became fullback Justin Johnson, but he never played for the Jets. He only played 1 game in his career, and that was with Seattle. So most likely got cut and then signed with them, and that was it. The 1997 7th round pick that the Jets got back from the Rams, they ended up trading that pick, and that was sent to Philadelphia for Ronnie Dixon. Dixon, a defensive tackle, who sorry, I have this all written wrong here. Either way, so sorry. Dixon, defensive tackle, played for 2 years with the Jets, and then he was originally drafted by the Saints. Sorry, I had it written wrong in my notes, but my apologies there. But anyway, that's besides the point. What did the Philadelphia Eagles do with the 7th rounder? Well, they ended up drafting quarterback Koy Detmer. If that name sounds familiar, or maybe it doesn't, but maybe it does, he is related to Ty Detmer, so there you go. Koy played from 1998 to 2006. He was really just a backup depth quarterback on the roster. He only started 8 games, but he got in like 104 of them, so hey, what the heck. 3-5 win-loss record, 184 completions, 354 attempts, 1,944 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He was in 13 playoff games, but never started one. And he actually only appeared in games in 2 different years. Um, he had a stat line where he went 7 of 14 in the playoff game in 2003, and then 1 of 1 in a game in 2004. So for a total of 8 completions on 15 attempts for 91 yards, and he had an interception in the 03 playoff games. There you go. And then, so that's all done. But the 6th-round pick, obviously, that's not done yet. The Jets took that pick, as I mentioned before, and they traded that to the Buccaneers for the 8th and 104th overall picks. The Jets, with the 8th overall pick, would take linebacker James Ferrier, who played for the team from 1997 to 2001. He started 43 games out of 76 games that he played, 3 interceptions, 16 passes defended, 6 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 5.5 sacks, 355 combined tackles, and he started 1 out of 3 playoff games that he played, 1 fumble, 1 sack, 10 combined tackles. Ferrier would go on to sign with the Steelers in 2002. Hey, UrinatingTree, your team got in here too. How about that? Ferrier, as I said, signed in Pittsburgh. He was a far better player with them, and he ended up winning 2 Super Bowls, or he made 2 Pro Bowls. He got a first-team All-Pro selection, and he won 2 Super Bowls with the Steelers, starting all 154 games that he played with the team, and he started all but one of his 16 playoff game appearances with the Steelers. So, yeah, the Jets probably kicking themselves for that one, too. And then the Jets would take the 4th-rounder and use that on running back Leon Johnson, who played for the team from 1997 to 2000. 32 games, 3 starts. He had 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 touchdowns in the passing game. He played for Chicago from 2001 to 2002. They just don't seem to want to go away. And then went to San Diego in 2003. So, as we now near the end of this tree, the 6th overall pick in the draft from the 1997 draft, the Bucks now have it, and then they would trade it to Seattle. And who would Seattle take with that pick? I mentioned how Orlando Pace was a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, but there was another one in this draft. Walter Jones. Yep. The 6th overall pick that went from the Rams to the Jets in a deal to get the Rams Orlando Pace. Then went from the Jets to the Bucks so that the Jets would move to back down again to number 8 and take James Ferrier, who went on to have a decent career with the Jets, but a far better one with the Steelers, where he won 2 Super Bowls out of it. And then the Bucks take it and they move it to Seattle, and in the return they get work done. And then Seattle, I think, unless aside from the Rams, I think it's the Seattle Seahawks that look like the smart ones, because they ended up getting a Hall of Fame offensive lineman out of it in Walter Jones, who played his entire career in Seattle from 1997 to 2008, started in 180 games. He had 3 fumble recoveries, played in 10 playoff games with the team, 9-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first-team All-Pro, another part of the All-2000s team, and he was a 2014 Hall of Fame inductee. Bears fans, all I'm going to say is, wow. Just wow. I don't know, again, it's bad enough that you traded a first-round pick for Rick Mirer. But the fact of the matter is that Seattle took that first-round pick. They gave up 3 picks along with it to move up to number 3 to get Sean Springs. And then they took the other pick that they got back from Atlanta, packaged it with their own first-rounder in a deal with the Bucks, who got the 6th pick from the Jets, who got it from the Rams. And then Seattle ends up taking the 6th overall pick and uses it on Walter Jones. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm looking at this right now like, what the fuck? Just incompetence, man. And once George Halas was gone, the Bears were just, they were already kind of going downhill. But once all of Halas's influence was gone, it has not panned out for them since. It hasn't. But anyway, let me know what you thought about that. Um, let me know in the comments below if there's another tree that you'd like me to do. Go check out the other ones that I've done. Also, there's a playlist for that. Again, check out the In the Fence podcast, link in the description below. I'll actually be on that sometime in the future, so stay tuned for that. And I will see you all next time. So, once again, please drop a like, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.